All right. Well, welcome to the 2019-2020 version of the Coaches Show.
Yes, sir.
It is football season, and we are glad to be back in our old home, now called the Hippo Cafe. Used to be Bo's, but this is where the Coaches Show originated, was in this restaurant. We took a break from this place for a couple of years, but we are back home at Hippo Cafe. It's the Coaches Show. We do this every Monday night at 6 o'clock. Coach Brad LaPlante, Ryan Robinson, who will be the color commentator this year, filling in for Bryce Doggett. Bryce felt like he had conflict of interest this year, so he's going to be Bryce is going to be down on the sidelines helping us out, but we'll talk about that. But we are so glad to be at Hippo Cafe. It's sponsored, the Coaches Show sponsored every week by Hippo Cafe, by Kangaroo, and by Koala Cooling. And we appreciate Scott and Stacy stepping up and sponsoring this show. They sponsored the show the last few years, but now they're basically sponsoring it at their house.
That's right.
So we appreciate them doing that. So, again, every Monday night. And the new thing cool this year is, of course, we're live streaming, so we're on camera. Not only are your folks back in Minnesota listening, they're actually watching. Now they get to see your ugly face.
Scary.
They always just heard your voice before. Now they get to see your face.
Scary.
Yeah. So, well, summer's over. Actually, not really. It's hot, but football season's here.
It is.
Tell us a little bit about summertime. Kind of catch us up on 7-on-7, what the kids did during the summer to get us up to this point. I mean, here we are. We're 5 days away from the start of football season. I guess 6. We play on Saturday this week instead of Friday, and we'll talk about that later on. But just kind of catch us up a little bit on how the summer went.
Well, I thought it was a really good summer. The growth of certain individuals and certainly groups really, really showed. We showed up to, I guess, Lake Travis on a Saturday morning and didn't maybe perform up to Hippo expectations. And give credit to our guys. They came right back and battled and just improved throughout the rest of May and throughout June and also July in the weight room. We did qualify for the state 7-on-7. We're picked dead last to finish 4th in our pool. And, just like our guys always do, they battled and had, I guess, 2 closer games, one really close one at the end, but ended up winning the pool and qualifying to get into the winner's bracket. So that's exactly what we wanted out of underwear football, I guess you call it. It's not real football, but yeah. It's a lot of qualities of covering and catching and throwing and reading that, the style of our offense certainly plays into. So we got everything we wanted out of our summer in 7-on-7.
Hippos had really never done 7-on-7 and competed in much in 7-on-7 until Van got here, 5 years ago, I guess. And, since that time, I think Hutto is kind of every year state tournaments kind of considered one of those teams that you better watch out for. And talk a little bit about 7-on-7. And obviously, it's a very different thing than Friday nights, right? You don't have the pads, you don't have the full teams. But what does 7-on-7 do for these guys in terms, especially the skill position guys, in terms of timing and chemistry and those kinds of things?
That's big for our offense and air raid and spreading out and throwing the ball. It's huge. I mean, to know who your go-to guys are, to be forced to throw into tight windows and, depending on the style of what you want to play defensively, are you going to play zone? Are you going to play man? There's so many things that you do get out of it just with your hands, your eyes, your feet, the teamwork, the camaraderie, competitiveness. It adds another dimension not only for the varsity through JV to freshmen, all the way really down to 6th graders who are now doing 7-on-7 football. So they have the opportunity to start playing football without the injury risk, but they're already learning our playbook. We spend time in January with fathers who are coaching 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at both HMS and FMS, and that playbook's what they're going to use all the way up through their senior year.
You mentioned without injury, and obviously injury can happen at any sport and at any time. But one of the things, I guess, in the last year or two that they've installed in 7-on-7, yes, with all the attention being paid to concussions and all that, is they actually are wearing little soft leather helmets or whatever. Are they leather? What are they? Some kind of padded
leather.
little.
They've got some foam. They're padded there.
Yeah. They're like the helmets that Van used to play in when he was young. If he's watching or listening,
Except they have Velcro, I guess, now. So, no, we made the commitment at, I guess it must have been in June, that we purchased through our activity funds, through our fundraising. We purchased 50 of them now to make sure that our 9th through 12th graders will always have that when we go. And we can use them in the off season too. So we can do football related things during the period if there's something that we want to go out there and do before spring football actually starts. You know, the 18 practices that you get counted towards those 30 days in spring ball. If we want to go and do things before that, we can wear those, or, you know, if it's a wrestling day or other kind of activity day, we can certainly put some of those things on for safety too.
But they're not, UIL's not, at 7-on-7, they're required at the state tournament, right?
This year it was state tournament.
Right.
Next year, all the state qualifying tournaments, you'll have to have it.
Is UIL requiring teams to use those in off-season practices yet?
No, and, you know, 7-on-7 is not UIL justified, and it's all parent or volunteer ran, even though the coaches are always there helping out and bringing footballs.
But even the practices, like your practices before you can throw pads on, you don't have to wear those soft helmets. Okay.
Because y'all are rocking the helmets day one, right?
When you go into spring ball, you have the acclimation period,
Right.
so and it's different during the spring and as it is during the fall. But you can go out in T-shirt and shorts and a real helmet, day one of spring ball, yes. But you can do football activity during the period, your athletic period, before spring ball practices are counted against you.
So talk about that transition from 7-on-7 to pads with a real game, because we were noticing, you know, things move a little quicker. You got guys in your face. How do you transition from all the time in the world, 4 seconds, to I got to get rid of this thing in half a second? Right.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is just the quarterback, the vision, having, you know, certainly the 5 linemen and maybe up to 5 people blitzing like we did during the scrimmage the other night when you have 3 or 4 down linemen and maybe a backer in your face. That's the visual aspect, and being able to see who your first read is definitely the biggest thing. And certainly some teams on 7-on-7 run a 7-on-7 offense. We run our offense regardless. We're not throwing this type of pass that, you know, would have went into the chest of a defensive lineman during 7-on-7.
Sending a running back straight up the middle.
Yes. And our benefit is, you know, I look back to, you know, maybe in the 90s as a player or the 2000s as a junior college coach, you really had to slowly install your offense. Really, for us, when we say it's a 3-day install, our full offense could be in 3 days, and we're just fine-tuning little things. We're really not teaching the entire concepts to our varsity players because they've done all those passing concepts during the course of the summer. So maybe we're working with the offensive line on 1 or 2 different pass protections to go with those schemes and those concepts passing. But the install of your offense goes way faster. You can add more tags, more wrinkles off of them faster too.
So I know you're big offensive line guys. There's some sort of offensive line equivalent that those guys can do during the summer?
It's on their own.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, the game of football and the choices that kids have nowadays in some areas have impacted the summer strength and conditioning because you have your private quarterback trainer, you've got your offensive line trainer, your D-line trainer, your speed and, you know, your guru, all that sort of stuff, which is all great, and we encourage our kids to do that. But sometimes it does take away from your strength and conditioning. And you can tell the kids that maybe have a nagging injury that haven't done that. So we want to get that in combination with it. But any kid that wants to get better at form or technique, it's out there for them now.
So outside of 7-on-7, talk a little bit about your kids. You've got kids that work really hard during the summertime. What are the expectations from time school ends till school starts in the fall? What are the expectations? Obviously, you know, a lot of that's on their own, like you've mentioned. But what are the expectations as coaches? What are the expectations players among themselves? What do they work on during the summer?
Well, I think for us, you know, number one, we need to take advantage of those summer months to make gains, whether it's technique gains, whether it's throwing, catching, defending, whether it's strength gains, flexibility gains. We absolutely have to use that time. Generally speaking, it was 6 weeks of 4 days of training, 24 total days that you get to do your strength and conditioning. A little bit different calendar this year. The UIO went to a different one to be able to go to the girls' coaching convention and the coaching school as well. So some of those weeks weren't 4 full days, or maybe you took a Tuesday, Wednesday off, and you got to go Monday, Thursday, Friday, and some different things that we will go back and evaluate what's best for our kids and our staff next year. But for us, kids still need to be kids.
Right.
Families need to go on vacations. But our kind of general rule is, if you're in town, let's be there.
Sure.
You don't need to sleep until 3 o'clock in the afternoon and do nothing. And, we offer a 6 a.m. group because there are some kids that do have a job at 8 a.m., and we're respectful of that. We've had kids show up at 5:30 and go till 6:30, and they go work their 8-hour shift because that's something that they want to do, or maybe their families do have the need. There are those situations too. But if they're in town, they need to be there with their teammates, because all the things that we talked about before, with the individual technique, training, position-specific things, that's all great stuff, but you certainly can't break up a team when we've worked hard that summer together. It's not like it's August 1st and, hey, we got the boys back together. We should have been together the whole
summer.
time.
Yeah, I heard somebody earlier or last week when school started referencing fortnight detox, that they had to have a fortnight detox. Do you have any fortnight detox for your kids whenever they came back from get ready for 2 days?
I
guess
without
not 2 days.
throwing out any names in particular, I could probably go down the locker room and pick out one or two.
Which ones had to do fortnight
Yes,
detox?
sir.
That's funny. Talk a little bit about new seasons every year. You've been in this for a long time. Obviously, this is your second year as head coach of the Hippos, but you've been coaching. You've been coaching for years. Every year, is it just the same giddiness that you feel when it's football season?
Oh, I think there's giddiness, there's nervousness, because every group is going to react differently to different situations. And even when they leave in May, they're different when they come back in August. They just are. And even our location, you get a transfer here, transfer there, anywhere from 9th through 12th, and how they're going to fit into the locker room and how they're going to mold together as a team, and who's going to step up as a leader and who's going to take charge. And that's the beauty of being a coach is, we're going to judge by, freshmen. They reported on Monday, August 5th. JV and varsity, they came on August 12th. How good can we get them to believe in themselves and perform together as one by the end of that regular season and make a playoff push? That's the beauty of football. We've got kids that have Division I offers that have, done great things so far, but okay, can we make that guy better?
Right.
Or how do we make him a better leader? What are we going to do for him to make him more elite? Those are the things that we try to do. And as a position coach, when you start drills in August, how are those same drills, that everyday drill skills that you have to have in your routine, how are they going to look in October? Does every single, your 13 kids, are they all doing it perfectly the way that you want? And now you can tag on something more to that drill and take it a step further. Just no different than you teaching in the math classroom.
Yeah.
I've got to teach step A before I can go on to step B. I can't leave those guys behind. I can't leave them bored. It's crazy the things that you have to think about, and all the things as a staff that we get to think about and meet about and try to take care of individual kids, yet make sure that team is always number one. And it's a great time of the year when you get them together, and just all the questions and concerns and excitement from community, and you lost this guy, hey, what about this?
Right.
It's a great time of the
We'll
year.
talk about that in a little bit.
That might be on tap.
Yeah, that might be on my list. You obviously, I know you very well. We're good friends, and I know how organized and type A and everything else you are. Do you still find yourself when it's go time going, I forgot to do this, or I should have done this, or little things that you're like, man, or you got it all the boxes checked?
No, I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that wouldn't happen a dozen times during the course of the day, and that's realistic. I mean, even for me, from noon until 3 o'clock today, it was planned. Didn't get it done.
Yeah,
None
it
of
just
it.
happens.
You just never know what needs come between students or athletes or staff members, or there's so many things that come up during the course of the day that you have to do. It's really as an athletic director,
Right.
not the football coach aspect of it. So
That's true.
You have to be able to sacrifice one area for another and know that, hey, I trust my staff member because he's going to do a good job with that. You might have to send him a text. I'm not going to get to this. Can you do this before freshman practice?
Right.
And know that they're going to do a great job with it.
One of the things, we both get a chance to give a shout-out to our wives tonight. First of all, my wife, it's her birthday. This is Katie's birthday, so happy
All
birthday,
right.
Katie. And happy birthday. But
28, huh? 28? I like it.
26.
20
Don't insult her.
Sorry, Katie.
Hey, but here's your chance to give a shout-out to Christy, too, and to Carson and Cashin. as a dad and as a husband, every year you know this time is coming, right? That means here we go. We're not gonna see each other as much as we've been seeing each other during the summer. How do you prepare for that, or how does Christy prepare for that?
Well, honestly, there's some times where I can get my work done early in the morning, but she might be the one still working at 9 o'clock at night. You know very well, two people beginning of school year, when you're working for an ISD, it's crazy for everybody from superintendent top down. And so there's times where, we were on the couch. I was on the Chromebook one night. She was on the other, and we probably didn't say anything for an hour, and I'm over there huffing and puffing about something, and hear her do the same thing, and pretty soon, how you doing over there? It's just what it is.
But you're present, so
we know what it is,
there.
and that's the beauty of our jobs. There are certain things that we absolutely have to do on site, but there are things that we can do at home, and I think both of our children know how important her job is to her to serve her people and her staff and her kids, and they know how it is. The same thing for me too. They see the respect we have for each other and how her job is tougher than mine someday. Mine's tougher than hers someday. So for them to see what we struggle through and just battle at work, and do we bring it home? Sure we do. We care about each other and what we're going through, and be able to bounce things off each other. And they know there's certain things that we can talk to each other about in front of the kids, and sometimes it's go upstairs. We need to talk a little bit about something.
But there's coaches' wives are special, though, right? I mean, they have to put up with a lot with a lot. Not only being the separation during football season, a lot of times they have to hear things that probably are very unfair.
Come on, people don't say that, do they?
Not about you, but some coaches.
Whew,
yeah, no,
scared
I think
me there for a second. Gosh,
it's all roses as far as you're concerned. No, but seriously, it's that can be a tough thing.
No, it is, and I guess she knows how I feel about that because we sit at youth events. It's no different at youth events than it is at varsity football, other than the four people that are making rear ends out of themselves in the 7th grade gym are a little bit louder, and they stick out a little bit more than when there's 5,000 people and two bands playing and all that. But and our kids know how we feel about that. And, when we go to a game, people might think that we're stuck up or don't care about the other kids, or that's just not how we are. We're not going to pay attention to any of that noise. We're going to go for the enjoyment of the game. I'm never going to affect that other person. They're never going to affect me. We're going there to watch our kids, support our kids and their teammates. And I think that's probably the toughest thing that she would have is, why would anybody from a community not support all those kids who are up at 5:30 in the morning working their tails off? And they can say whatever they want about that defensive end or defensive back or catch the darn ball. And you know what? That's the first drop they've had in 6 weeks.
Right.
And you've got to say something to them. Boy, that takes a real champion to say that.
Yeah. It's probably those same people that get all their practice on Facebook. Yeah, or that booed Andrew Luck when he announced he was retiring.
No kidding, huh?
Ryan, I didn't. You have a chance to give your wife a shout out too. Feel free.
Shout out, Lauren.
Shout out to Lauren. Okay.
He hasn't had as much experience.
No.
He'll get there.
That's right.
We will
the schedule's
tutor
not quite
you.
as much of a grind yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. Well, I want to talk a little bit before we get into talking about this year's team. I want to talk about just kind of what has transpired over the last few years with Hutto Hippo football, and that's just a culture, right? There's a culture of winning that's been established here, and when I say winning, that's not just winning on the football field. I mean, that's winning off the field. That's winning in the locker room. That's winning in the community and all those things. I mean, we're 22-3 over the last 2 years. That's winning on the football field. That's a winning culture. And, we've averaged in the last 5 years, we've averaged almost 10 wins a year. But how does that happen? That doesn't just happen accidentally. So talk a little bit about the culture that we've established here.
Well, I always think it starts outside of our walls. It's got to start with the community. It's got to start with the parents because they've got to bring the kids there. They've got to get them involved. Well, where does that happen? It starts with a great youth football program, HYFCA. Ever since we got to town in 2014, I've been directly connected with them because I always made sure they were up and welcome, and Van was right there with me. We did playbooks, meetings with them. We'd talk drills. We'd talk skills. Our entire staff was a part of that, trying to let them know that we're a great resource for them. You'll see those coaches out there at 6 in the morning. early August, trying to just see. We've already talked about the drills. Let's see them in action, get some photos, get some video, and so they can go back and show them. You've got a lot of parents that we've already talked about with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at FMS and HMS that spend a lot of time because they start end of January having a couple of playbook meetings to formulating a team to having a month of practice for only 4 Mondays in April. And then some of those parents will continue and go on. And like this year, we had – I think the state tournament was 29th and 30th for varsity, so the weekend before was the state tournament for like the middle school kids. So those parents were involved from February all the way down to almost July. So when you have that type of commitment out in the community coming into a football program, that's big. And then when you assemble a good coaching staff that believes in that culture and what we're going to do and how we're going to treat kids and how we're going to elevate their level of play. And like for me, we've taken what Coach Van has started, and it was above the line, and how you make choices, and what's going to happen at home when mom wants you to do the dishes, and you're going to press the pause button and think about, are you really going to say that back to her? Or are you just going to do it even though you don't want to? And what happens with situations with homework, and what are you going to do in the classroom? And you're driving down the road, and the guy honks at you and cuts you off. How are you going to make life choices, and how they're going to affect you that in turn help us out on the gridiron as well. And then you take a building principal, Mr. Christian, that totally encompasses the value of all the student groups that are involved from all the clubs and theater and band and athletics, and knows how good that makes those hallways. And when all those programs are successful, how it changes. So going back to 2014, I remember one of the assistant principals, 1 more week, baby, 1 more week, because they knew that discipline is better when everybody's happy. They've got something to look forward to Monday morning. You got winners walking up and down the hallway, because it's not just the football players. You got the drill team, you've got the band, you got cheerleaders. All these people are involved. Students aren't going to be getting in trouble because they want to go to the game. They're not going to get an ISS and DAP. They want to be in the stands on Friday night. And then when you've got a great leadership team, how many people would you say in our leadership team from all of our directors throughout the school are winners? Mm-hmm. They want to win. They want to support kids. They want to be successful. They want to do things the right way.
Starts with the superintendent.
It does.
She doesn't like to lose.
It does. But that's what we want, and from the community coming into our walls, and when we receive them, if some of that stuff is already ingrained, we don't have to change the kids a lot. We just help them. That's our deal, is we're supposed to elevate them. We're supposed to help them. And if Ryan and I are players on the team, we're supposed to help elevate you. That's what elite players do. You can be Division I, but not be elite, because all you're doing is being selfish about yourself. Yeah. Elite players make the 4 other players around them better, and they're teaching them the little things about their stance and the drills and everything, within the football program, holding them accountable to academics. And, that's another thing that, from superintendent to our CFO, Glenn, to making the HEAT program work. We did have almost 30 kids flunk before that program came about.
Tell them what the HEAT program is.
It is on Monday nights, and so we've got Mr. Christian on board, and he's got a couple teachers there from a different couple subjects that'll be in the library, 4:30 to 6:30 on Monday night. So the Monday after Labor Day, that will roll out again. And, of course, that was a volunteer program when it started. There was absolutely a need there just to help kids, because when they're involved in, how many hours a week, 20 hours of athletics, and now you're missing tutorials times and homework time, we felt it was really important to build that program up. And, there were some nights there was 110 kids there, and maybe the least we had was maybe in the 50s. But still, if you're helping 50 kids
that's awesome.
In a 2-hour period, it's really, really good.
And it's probably pretty cool. And I know you weren't coaching when Ryan was playing. You came after Ryan had graduated. But it's kind of fun to see some of our kids, not just Ryan, but some others who've recently graduated, or 4 or 5 years ago, graduated from Hutto High School, went on, got their college degrees. They're back now, and they're teaching at Hutto High School. And, I think that says a lot about what Hutto High School is doing, with our kids, that these kids are going off and they're coming back.
Right.
Ryan, Sam Rimbish, a couple of others that are back and, working with kids. And whether they're coaching or whether they're just teaching, they're still doing a lot of those same things.
Well, it's a familiar name. It's a familiar face. Well, even the conversation that we had here, you've been other places and observed different things.
It's a place
and
people want to be, for sure.
that it is.
It's,
It's Hippo Nation, right?
Absolutely. It's a good place. Yeah, they do a good job, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, kids have lots of choices of where they want to go, and if they want to come back here, that's awesome. You know, that we
Right.
can. And you've got kids on the football team this year that someday they're going to be back here probably
Correct.
doing the same thing.
Well, and just like we say for community members and kids, we want to be the premier choice. Don't we want to be the premier choice for employees and employers,
Absolutely.
all that? I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's no different that why people stay in the longevity of the employees. They believe in what we've started and what we're going to finish as we continue to grow as a district.
Yeah, if we're going to be the premier school, we're going to have premier staff as well.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You're listening to or watching the Coaches Show. We're live from the Hippo Cafe. Come join us. If you're tuning in tonight and you're in town, know that you can come over here on Monday nights at 6 o'clock. Every Monday is where we'll be doing the Coaches Show, sponsored by the Hippo Cafe, by Koala Cooling, and by Kangaroo. Scott and Stacy Feller, we appreciate them sponsoring the show, and we're glad to be back here. But, yeah, they've got specials for students. I know they're giving away, I think it's free drinks. If students come over during the Coaches Show on Monday nights, you get a free drink, and some other specials that they'll be doing throughout the season with the Coaches Show, and we'll try to make folks aware of that each week. But come out and join us. I know it's fun to watch, but it's a lot more fun in person. And the
It's like
food's
a
really
football
good.
game.
I'm
It's
so
like,
hungry right now smelling these burgers that are coming out to people.
The Chipotle sauce. Oof. Hands down.
There is not a bad thing on the menu here at Hippo Cafe. I know it's this year, but before we get into this year, let's do just a quick recap of last year, because I think people still want to hang on to a little bit of what was great from last year. What a great season last year, because we didn't do a Coaches Show after that unfortunate loss in the playoffs in the third round.
Sure.
So we never really got to recap the season, but just real quick, 11-1 undefeated until that third round upset playoff loss. And what a team, Chase Griffin, Chooks, DJ, Caleb, just a fun team that we rolled out there every week that really represented Hippo Nation.
They did.
I know everybody had higher expectations. Obviously, you did of playing. You were at Jerry World for the state championship. In fact, you got to be on TV with Tepper and those guys.
Yes, sir.
But you would have rather have been down on the sidelines coaching. And obviously, we had the kind of team that could have done that. Just
Yes, sir.
unfortunately stubbed their toe at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think if we go and play that game, I'd love to see that played 10 times. Richmond Foster's a really great team. But,
Sure.
First of all, to go through our non-district schedule with, I guess 3-0 would have been 4-0. We did have the one game canceled, but when you got West Mesquite and you had the team of Liberty Hill who did play up there. And
in the
also
state championship.
6A Houston Lamar.
Houston Lamar.
To be 3-0 going into district, that was big to get through and injury-free. And then to do – some of the things that we did, not punting. I think there's 3 different games we may not have punted. And to hold the offenses that we did down, a downpour rain, and score 65 points against a very credited, good Cedar Park team.
Well, give them their worst loss in the history of their program.
Yeah, I can't remember what they had said on the radio. I can't remember those guys' words.
I don't think we can say it, but it was, it was an epic beatdown, and they acknowledged it. But, but we earned every bit of that.
I think so.
Yeah, and obviously they're a great program.
They are.
So,
They are.
which made that win even that much, I think, feel that much better
Good.
because of who it was. But now that's this year. That year's in the past, and 2 years ago was a great team as well. But you move on. Those guys have moved on. Obviously, Chase is out at UCLA now, and in California, Chooks is at Tech. DJ is up in North Dakota. Is that
Yes,
where he's
North
at?
Dakota State.
North Dakota.
Yes, sir.
Caleb, where did Caleb?
UTPB.
UTPB. I mean,
There's 9 kids
There's
playing
a- I was
collegiate
about to
ball
say
off
it.
that team, and there probably could have been 12.
yeah, there's a lot of kids that were on that team that are playing college ball somewhere. So that was fun. But, high school ball, that's the thing about high school ball is it rolls over, and it's a new season. And, everybody last year really talked about the offense. It was prolific, right? Defense last year was pretty solid.
Right.
Well, here we are this year. You're returning 8, I think, starters from that
Yes.
defensive unit. And I dare say, and I think a lot of folks are pointing at that defense right now, is you've got a new offense. Takes a little while for new offensive players to begin to gel and work together. And until that happens, defense is really going to have to probably carry the stick, right?
Well, it will, and I know our offense has gotten a lot of attention over the past years, starting with Coach Vandermeter and leaving into to this staff here. But that's just football. People want points. They just the style of play and where things have gone. But you don't get to the playoffs 5 years in a row and get to the fourth round, third round without playing good defense. So This is nothing new for us. We just have a lot of talented faces to go with the schemes that we've created here. So I think definitely if you look across the state, our three front is as good as any in the state with Landon and Sugg and Lordsville, and they're all very talented kids, kind-hearted kids. They're quiet, but when they put that helmet on, they're different. And they're good leaders too. I mean, today during freshman practice day, it was 4:45. It was hot out. This morning we did our practice, we did weights, and then the varsity went back out and they did conditioning. And I look on the visitor sideline, and Braylon Sugg is running 100-yard gassers.
Wow.
That's how committed he is to Saturday at 11 a.m. that he is not going to go out. He is determined that nobody's going to have to replace him because he's tired. And
Ryan can keep a good eye on him. He's his next door neighbor.
That's right.
Ryan Alarm bought a house right next door to him. So
they take him a gallon of water tonight.
Hey,
I guess
he's out there working all the time.
I bet he is. I bet he is.
I was going to ask you. So 11 a.m. Obviously, y'all practice in the mornings. Is there anything special y'all been doing because it's supposed to be about 100 degrees?
No, it is. It'll be cooler than last year. I think it's 4 degrees cooler than last year. Happened to look
nice
at that.
then.
So
you
it'll
might need to
be
bring
balmy.
hoodies and long sleeves.
Stuff. So we've checked that a little bit, and I think if you go back to last year's film, if you look at it, we were more conditioned in third and fourth quarter. And that's again, that's what did we do over spring ball? What's the pace of our practices? What does our entire team do over the course of the summer? What's our style of play? And what have we as a coaching staff, and I thought our staff has done really well with the speed of our drills, giving them time off when they need to recover. Our training staff with all the cold tub things and everything that they do. We've got kids that show up at 5:30 that they're in there getting treatment, before and they're religious, with Michael Mason and Landon and Sugg and Amir Ward. Those guys are there religiously at 5:30 every morning to make sure that their body is prepared, and the training staff is right there working beside them. But again, after we're done with practice, we're done with weights, we go out and we condition at the end. And that was, we asked 2 seniors to make sure that you're leading them today, and you've got to create the vision for this team that this conditioning is never going to be punishment. It's for that win in the fourth quarter, that when the tide starts to turn, that type of training and that mentality is going to take over for the Hippos and make sure that we get that victory and we're 1-0 at the end of the day.
So who have you seen that has really stepped up and filled that leadership role? Obviously, with so many seniors last year that were great leaders and that everybody looked up to, who has kind of stepped up and filled that role?
Well, the beauty about this group, it's not just one.
Yep.
We have a group of seniors that they've played sports for a long time together, from the Vogelpools and the Buenos to all just the whole group, and they're not big on calling each other out or, hey, I have to be the person to bring up the break at the end. They share the love, they share the load, but when it's time, they can look each other in the eye and say, hey, we got to get it right on this drive. So that's what we've noticed throughout spring ball and this summer, and that was part of 7-on-7 not going well. They had to kind of look around and say, all right, some of these seniors are gone. Who's it going to be? Well, they kind of decided, hey, it's going to be all of us, and that's what
just kind of a general sense of accountability.
Yeah. That's the fun thing about this team right now. That hey, if that one guy is having an off day and he's our leader,
somebody else
we're done for.
Up.
It's not ever going to be that case. Somebody is going to be there for the team.
Talk a little bit more about the specific players on defense. I think some of the folks that might be watching. Maybe they haven't really paid that much of attention because, again, last year especially, the focus was on our offense.
Right.
But talk a little bit more. Obviously, we got a kid who is maybe one of the most highly recruited kids in the country right now on defense, and he's only a junior.
Correct.
And he's already committed to LSU. But talk a little bit about Landon and Lordsville and Braylon and just the defense as a whole. What has made this defensive unit so strong?
I think the best thing I can say is just effort. Even the other night I was kind of standing behind them on the left side, and a play would go right to left, and I always look to the back side because you always judge defensive players by how far are they from the ball when that whistle blows, and everybody was past midfield. The backside corner, the backside safety, everybody was running to the ball. They take so much pride in, I'm going to get there, so in case my buddy doesn't make the play, I'm going to clean it up, and it's going to be good. And that's, that's just the mentality that our coaching staff has done a good job creating, and the players have, bought into it and done a good job. But, like I say, you've got Sugg, you've got Lordswell, and you've got Landa. They're really, really quiet individuals, but they are so loud by their play. You can't help but watch 3 plays of film and notice all 3 of them together. And then you add Amir Ward and Kendall Williams on the outside. Sadavian Robinson is another guy on the outside. You had Jason Vogelpohl and Tyler Kelly, who Tyler took a little break from football and went straight baseball. And now he's back, and he's earned himself into a starting role. So, all the multi-sport athlete stuff that we believe in has come back, and you've got a great backup in Michael Mason with him, and you've got Brock Bueno, a third-year starter back there, and Trey Pinelli, who will probably start both ways, along with Xavier Phoenix, who will get a lot of time, maybe playing both ways as well or starting both ways. Brother Jordan at one corner, and then Travis Taylor. You may not hear a word out of Travis for 8 weeks. But you'll know he's there on Friday nights by his play. He's just a great, quiet kid, and that's really all of them. They're just quiet, do-right kind of kids that just love football and love each other and fly around, and that's why I think, our run fits are really, really good, and you see the ball in the air, and they're turning and running, and, I guess I even it's been kind of busy just watching film. We had a spot after the scrimmage that we all took a screenshot of 10 guys on the screen. There are that many people within 5 yards of the football.
Wow.
And that was on a play where we should have made a play out on the perimeter in the alley. That kid missed it. He chased it down along with the nose guard 9 yards downfield. But all guys ended up on that play. And that's what the best part about our defense is, when we don't give up the big play, and they're going to end up having to drive the length of the field. Sooner or later, we're going to get that stop. Our guys will get that stop. We're that confident in them.
I think the thing about a great defense, too, is you're pretty much always going to be in a ball game. If you've got a great defense, you're always going to be in a ball game. If your offense is struggling, you're still going to be in there because the defense is keeping them off the board, and you're just one big turnover or big play away from now giving the offense a ball in a place that they can score a little easier. Let's talk about offense. Big changes, obviously. You lost a lot of guys on offense. But the cupboard's not exactly bare. There's some talent on the offensive side of the ball too, with Makai Kimball in the backfield, Dejan obviously, Trey Pinelli you already mentioned, and then Grayson Doggett playing quarterback. And I think a lot of folks forget that Chase started as quarterback when he was a sophomore.
He did.
So here's Grayson now stepping in as a sophomore. Grayson's no stranger to Hutto athletics. He's had 2 brothers that have come before him. He's seen what it takes to be a Hippo, and Grayson's pretty calm and cool. But just talk a little bit about that, replacing Chase with Grayson and then replacing some of those other guys.
Well, here's the best thing about Grayson. Of course, he started baseball as a freshman, and they had a nice run last year in the playoffs, but he compares himself to nobody. He knows his job is to lead the team and get better at something every single day. He's not out there to compare. So the comparisons are going to come, like these radio sportscasters that have all these comments and try to compare everybody to the former, and which is okay.
No, I don't.
Chase is still one of the best. But let's go back to his sophomore campaign. I think we only won 6 games.
Right.
And we got beat the first round of the playoffs. Now, I think that year we were a 9 or 10 win team, and I'd love to go back and play those again. But that's truth. That's your hard facts there. He was a 6-game winner with what he had around him. I think the ball gamer that we have in Grayson, he's going to get us to more than 6 wins.
I agree.
With the supporting cast that he has around him, the way that he leads them, the fact that he can take one play and maybe it wasn't his best, it will never affect him on the next play. That's the best thing about him is that last one does not affect him.
That ability to forget.
Yeah. So he's matching Chase in his practice habits and being in a good mood. He's there at 5:40 in the morning when maybe he doesn't have to report till 6. He's there talking to all the guys, building relationships in the locker room. He's a guy that gets it. He's going to be a guy to run the show by the time he's a senior and take everybody over. And he already has. He's won them over. They know he's our best quarterback and really doing a great job. But the fact that there might be some unknown names to match around him. Doesn't mean they're no-namers.
Right.
We certainly know them. And, with the running back situation, we probably have 5 different kids. Up Mackay certainly is our number one, and will stretch the field in many ways on the run and the pass. But we've got 4 or 5 other guys that we can certainly put in there. We've got Trey, we've got Dejan, we've got Jay Lambert, we've got Bealey, we've got Tyler Carnes, we've got Josh Gonzalez, Xavier Phoenix. Those are all guys that are catching the ball. We already talked about Sadavian on defense, but he's a hybrid guy that can play a tight end and a fullback along with Zane Bolding. So there's just a lot of choices and personnel mix and matches that we can do that we haven't, changed the entire integrity of our offense. And instead of going 4 and 5 wide, we might be doing it out of a 2-back, 3-wide set. Same play, just a different formation to start. So we haven't had to do a lot of big learning. And the curve that's going to happen right now really is for our offensive line.
Yeah.
And so when you have a lot of young kids there, and you're looking at Lordsville, who is probably about -4% body fat, staring across from you, smiling. That's
just
tough
like
tough to line
-4.
up across from him. And then you've got Sugg, and then we've got Blitz. There's a lot of things that even if you have a good offensive line, it's tough to go against
right.
a good defense. Well, now we have an inexperienced. They're not bad. They're inexperienced, and they're getting better every single day. When they finally figure it out, and, it kind of clicked a couple days in practice this week, all of a sudden somebody, would stop Lordsville in their tracks, and everybody's like, okay,
nice.
Here we go. You could see the players like, all right, they're finally getting it. It's going to happen. And, you saw some good things in the scrimmage. And I know our kids were down after the scrimmage because they looked at one thing, the scoreboard. And, we could have ran 4 plays and been successful the whole night, but that's not the idea of the scrimmage. You got to see kids in different situations, different formations, different plays, see how they react. And, defensively we had 52 plays, and we gave up 106 yards.
Wow.
Yet we lost on the scoreboard. Okay, well, let's learn these little lessons.
Right.
And, going back to offense, we will go as far as the offensive line will take us. And as long as they're, good guys that they are, and Coach Mullins and Coach Brandt are doing a really good job with them. They're getting better every single day. I can't wait to see by the time district rolls around how good they get those guys playing.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Bryce about it last week too. It's like, and you mentioned it, but if that offense, our offense, is having to go against that defense every day
Correct.
in practice,
Yes.
they're not going to see anybody else
Yes.
or too many other teams that are as good as
You're
their
right.
own defense that they're going. So that's only going to make them better.
You're right. Well, and even for Grayson, he has to make exact, precise reads in practice. So let's talk about Xavier as a wide receiver who goes to safety. Trey is a wide receiver that goes to safety. Dejan goes to corner. Brock plays quarterback. All those kids know every single out there.
Sure.
So we have to hide all of our signals. So pretty soon, in Brock's head anyway, he reads it really fast. So, they have to be
It's kind of
really
cheating,
good
isn't it?
a little bit. But
It's kind of cheating. Yeah. But speaking of Brock and quarterback, that kind of gives you a different kind of threat
Yes.
that he can come in for Grayson in certain situations, and he kind of has a little bit of that almost wildcat type threat to him, right? The throw or
Yes.
the run or throw, and
he's elusive. He feels the pocket really well. We do have some option game in for him, but we can roll out and sprint him. We can do some quick game with him. We can do some of our conceptual things, but the best thing about him is we're always +1 in the run game. So whatever box they throw at, whether it's a 3 down or a 4 down, if we want him to run the ball, we're always +1 because they have to account for that quarterback.
I think Terry probably wants you, anytime you're going to run the quarterback, she wants to be sure Brock's in there. She doesn't want Grayson in there if it's run plays, right? Yeah.
She won't like what we put in this morning then, I guess. She'll have to turn the other way.
Well, and I get the feeling, as fast-paced as we've been in the past, this offense is probably going to be a little more methodical, right? I mean, I know you're still going to have big play capability, but – or not.
I've been counting backwards from 15 since I got here in 2014 that next play needs to be run in practice. But we want to be efficient.
Right.
The tempo is controlled by a lot of factors during the course of the game because we've got different tempos that if I see that defense is behind and they're slow getting lined up, they can't adjust to we're going to go. Let's go. There's going to be times during the course of the game that I'm going to have to talk to our offensive coordinator, Coach McLean, and say, hey, defense needs a break. We've got to snap the ball under 10. Let's take our time getting them lined up. Let's just move the chains, and then we'll go when it's time. But there's a lot of different scenarios. You know, you might get a twofer at the end of the half. Hey, if it's 7 minutes left, let's get down there and get a score, get a 3 and out. We get another one before halftime. All those situations come in to play with your speed.
We were talking during the scrimmage last week about how defenses on high-powered and fast-scoring offenses, a lot of times they're at a little bit of a disadvantage because they're on the field more than there's
Correct.
more possessions that they have to play defensively
Correct.
than a normal defense that's
Correct.
doesn't have a high-profile offense. So sometimes people look at stats of defenses on teams like that, and they're misleading. It's like,
I think
they
so.
had 4 more possessions.
Well, and that's why if you just go by the scoreboard or just total yardage, some of that gets really, really skewed. And, one of the things we'll look at is 3 and out. So in the scrimmage, I think the other night we had 8 3 and out. So those are good statistics that we want to have throughout. And anytime you can take that pressure off yourself with, doing a good job on first down and getting the second long and third and long, you're going to win a lot of those battles.
So the one spot we haven't talked about that's always critical, kicker. You got a couple of kickers.
We do
out there this year that might do something, huh?
I think we've got a controversy there for Coach Hutton, and we knew this coming in because we had some talented sophomores around, and then we've got a freshman that's putting it in the end zone, and it's good. So I think from every team from 9th B all the way up to the varsity, every single team is going to be able to kick the ball where they want. So a lot of the punting and field position game with kickoffs is going to come into play there, but you just think points. So like the other night, we chose to put him in a game-like situation before the first game and kick that field goal and came right on through. So that's a good early sign for the season.
Well, that's critical. I mean, it's funny. You go back years back when Ryan played and before that, we weren't known for our kickers, and I think the last few years we've had some talented kickers that step up and not only hit big field goals but hit clutch field goals.
You're right.
Critical times.
Consistent field goals.
Yeah,
and
consistent extra points. Yeah, it makes a difference.
Remember one, I do.
All right, let's talk a little bit about first ball game this Saturday, and Ryan touched on it. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I think we all remember last year we played these guys at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's in Waco. It's not a home game or a road game. We're the visitors, I guess, but it's still a neutral site. But at Waco ISD Stadium against West Mesquite, and it's going to be hot. We know that. That's just no getting around it. But let's talk a little about West Mesquite. What do we know from them? Obviously we played them last year, and it was a good ball game last year. But what do we know about what they're returning and what we can look for from those guys?
No, they're a good team, and their offense. They'll go anywhere from 2 backs and 3 wide and run zone and some zone kick and some play action off it along with quick game to a 5 wide package that they'll throw a lot of tunnel screens and just some hitches and slants that if you're thinking game plan, are they going to do that for our defensive line, not be able to put pressure, catch and throw on them. So that'll be up to us if we're going to try to blitz to get there a little bit faster, or do we get in their face and jam them up or play more man coverage and stick to a 5-man box to see if those 3 down linemen and the 2 backers control their tailback and their quarterback. Certainly in the throwing game, but their tailback, he's got some good wiggle, and when he puts one foot in the ground and gets north and south, he's really, really good. So we cannot be off track on our levels. We have to be flat playing it down the line of scrimmage, because when we get off level, he can find that, and he'll hit some backside cutbacks as well. He's a good running back.
So how do you balance with, obviously these early games, they're important. They're real games, but they're not district games, right? They don't count towards your playoff seeding, that type of thing. So how do you balance what you're going to install and what you're actually going to show and try to win the game without giving away too much of, what if you face a similar team further down the road in the district that –
Well, for us, by the 3rd, 4th day, most of our offense is already installed because our kids know it. We're just changing up shifts, formations, maybe some slant and go tag action, run different plays out of different formation. I mean, there's one play that we could run it out of 8 formations with 6 different motions. The more that we can disguise what we're doing and get good at what we're doing, but line up different to start, the better we are.
Is there a sort of gamesmanship that even you might throw in a play that you would never actually run further down the line in the season just to give some different looks on film?
Brad's not into gamesmanship.
Not at this time. We need to get our kids playing at high levels, and that's where like for me, okay, the opponent, okay, I get they're going to line up and we have to attack something and be afraid of what they're trying to defend or shy away from it. But by and large, as coaches, it's our job to get you as the player to playing as high of a level as you can, and it comes down to blocking and tackling and hustling and playing to the whistle. And if all of our guys are doing that with confidence, it's a good thing, because we know if we change up too many things week to week, or it's the defense of the week or the offense of the week, okay, a confused player is a slow player.
Yep.
So we want our guys to be so confident that however they line up, we already know, all right, we had a hitch called, he's pressed up, we already know it's going to be a fade. We don't even need to do any hand signals. We're so timed up, we're ready to go. So for us, it's about us and how we're going to progress throughout the season, come up with a good game plan, because again, we haven't had an opponent to plan for in a while other than ourselves, going back
9 months, 10 months. Right?
It has been.
Yeah.
It has been. So
Well,
thanks for bringing that up, that we didn't play a couple more games.
What with the heat like it is, which is just crazy, what kinds of things, extra precautions do you do for the health and safety of these kiddos?
Well, we've already got, Gatorade in the locker room for them. We'll start either Wednesday or Thursday adding cases of water in there so they can, as they're getting changed, getting their stuff ready for the day after practice, they can take that, fill it back up with Gatorade, go to class. They'll have a water bottle they can fill up during class, so there's, really no excuse not to hydrate.
Yeah, hydration doesn't start on Saturday morning.
It does not. It should have started already.
Right.
We just add into it more on Wednesday. But we're, we've talked since day one, how you grow and develop and be mentally ready is through the hydration, the nutrition, and certainly the sleep. And talking to those guys about that. And I think for the most part, by judging this team, they're in the locker room ready to go. It's not like they're at 6:10 to, I got to hurry up and get dressed, and my hair's all over the place, and I look like crap. I'm not ready for practice at 6:20. These guys are here. They're having conversations. They're talking about football. They're coming in and, seeing the coaches for 5 minutes and, hey, how's it going? Or what are we going to put in new today? They're ready to go. They're genuinely interested day by day how we're going to prepare to be 1-0 on Saturday.
And as coaches and obviously trainers, the trainers, they probably have to keep a little extra eye on those kids, though, when it's 105, which 105 temperature means the field's probably 135 or 140, right?
It is.
You got to keep a little extra eye and make sure everybody's good.
It is. That's the beauty about practicing in the morning. We've certainly had humidity the past few days, leading back to probably last Wednesday or last Thursday, so they've gotten that. But they haven't had the beat down sun like they have at 1 o'clock. But we did get 7 o'clock the other night a good taste of what it is, and I thought our guys looked really, really fresh. They were flying around and in great shape. And in a game like this on Saturday where you start at 11, the pregame isn't the issue. It's when you come out after halftime.
Right,
so you've been in the AC a little bit. You've tried to hydrate up a little bit, and you walk outside, and man, it hits you at that time.
And games like this can be won in the fourth quarter, right? Based on who is the most conditioned.
Well, I expect this one to be as fast as they are, as fast as they run around, as aggressive as they are. The quarterback and running back, they're elusive. They're very, very good athletes. It is going to be won in the fourth quarter is what we expect.
Yeah, I think the kid you're talking about, I don't remember his name, but he's a pretty highly recruited kid, I think. Running back for them.
He is.
Pretty electric.
Well, number 6.
All right. Well, that will be fun, and that'll give us a good idea of what we can look forward to the rest of the year.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here's the time of the show that we kicked Bryce out of the picks this year, right? Did he beat us last year? Did he end up winning? No, you were terrible, weren't you? Oh, we need Bryce back in the picks.
Didn't I
You
win?
won. I think you did.
How could you forget that?
You did. We're changing it up this year. We're picking against the spread. It was too easy. These games, well, high school games aren't against the spread, but all right.
The guy that lost said it was too easy?
It's too easy for you. It's too easy for you. I'm trying to give us a chance.
All
right, so we're going to go spread on college games, and then, of course, we'll pick our district, the district opponents in their games in non-district. So here we go. First game. Of course, I had to include Iowa State for Scott, who's an Iowa State guy. They're playing Northern Iowa, and Iowa State's favored by 18.5.
Cyclones.
Okay. Ryan?
Give me the Cyclones.
Gage? Yeah, I got to go with them too. You know what? They're a sleeper to win the Big 12. They're going to be good this year. All right, Montana State at Tech. Tech's favored by 25. Going Red Raiders? Ryan? 25 points is a lot.
I gotta go with Montana State.
Gage?
Really?
Tech?
My expectations are not
Wow.
Well,
I'm going to call
this
Matt
is-
on the way
this
home.
is ironic
Coach Wells,
because
we got to talk, buddy.
the two Tech guys are. We're not picking them to lose. We're just not picking them to win by 25.
Matt and I will discuss that. On
It's
the
a
way
whole
home.
new. It's a whole new team. I'm not. I'll see what I pick them
You
at.
saw them at practice. They're fine.
Well, that was last spring.
Just think how much better they are.
I haven't seen Montana State though. I hear they're
Another
awesome.
road trip.
All right, Stephen F. Austin at Baylor. Baylor, 38-point favorite. They win by that much?
Oh, gosh. SFA, 37.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ryan?
Yeah, give me the Lumberjacks. They beat them last year, didn't they?
Did they beat him, or at least it was tight?
They beat them.
It's a whole different Baylor team, though.
Yeah, that's a
But
lot.
these early games, though, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, you probably pull the Gage. Gage going Baylor. I'm going Stephen F. Austin as well. All right, Louisiana Tech at the Longhorns, 20.5.
UT.
UT? You a believer that Texas back? We'll see. Ryan?
Tell you week 8.
Yeah, Longhorns.
Okay, Gage? Yeah, I think they'll probably put a hammer. We'll see week 2. We'll find out what they're made of against LSU, right? Is that week 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Houston at OU, 23.5.
Oh, Dana. I
New
wouldn't
quarterback.
Like that, really.
Yeah, Holgerson, new coach at Houston. Sooners have a new quarterback.
Houston. Sleeper pick right there. Got to have one.
Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going with Houston too. I think they're going to score enough points to stay within 23.
I'll go Sooners on that one. Texas State at A&M. A&M favored by 34.
38. Now we're at
This is one of the few cakewalk games A&M has this
Go
year.
A&M.
Ryan?
Give me Texas State. New coach.
Yeah, okay. A&M. 34 is a lot, but I'll go Aggies. San Diego State at Minnesota. I always have to do Minnesota
All
for
right,
you.
appreciate that. Go.
Minus 14.
It's early. I'll jump on the bandwagon. That's fine.
14 points. And I think they play Thursday night also.
Who are they playing?
San Diego State, Minnesota.
Aztecs.
You would. No bandwagon there? I'm
There-
jumping on your Tech bandwagon.
I
You
was
want
jumping
to jump
off
back.
the
Gage says
bandwagon.
Minnesota. I'll go Minnesota as well. All right, high school. Pflugerville at Bowie. No spread.
Pflugerville.
Ryan,
Bowie.
being loyal to your Austin
Yeah,
ISD.
that's right.
Gage going Bowie? I'm going Pflugerville. Cedar Park at Vandergrift. That actually could be a pretty decent game.
Trying to think what Vandy's got coming back. I haven't thought about that much. I'm going to go Cedar Park.
Okay.
CP.
Gage. I'll go Cedar Park. Rouse at Vista Ridge. You saw Vista Ridge in the scrimmage.
Let's see. I'm trying to think whose defense is going to be better there. Rouse's DBs are back for the show. I'm going to go Rouse. Coach Mann.
Okay. Ryan?
Give me Vista Ridge. I'm just going to go opposite of Brad.
Just tell me during the course of the game what he's saying too, Todd.
I'm going. Well, you'll be able to go back and watch the replay
true.
of it. I'm going Vista Ridge. Wiley at Georgetown.
Abilene Wiley's got coming. Let's go Wiley.
I was going to say Georgetown already.
Georgetown. I'll go Georgetown. Austin at Conley. The Maroons at Conley.
They got the good quarterback, don't they? Let's go the Maroons.
Ryan? You were going Conley?
Let's go with Conley.
Y'all, there's going to be either a big separation
Golly,
or y'all
I
going to just
guess.
mix it up. Austin.
I can't believe you're
I'm
trying to
actu-
be 6 games behind already.
I want to start off from behind.
I'm going Austin also. Okay, and then Manor at Weslaco.
Yeah, Manor.
They might be pretty decent this year.
Manor.
Manor.
There you go.
Manor across the board. All right.
Jumping back.
All right. Well, we'll review the picks next week, obviously. So Saturday, 11 o'clock, and in Waco ISD Stadium. Hope that folks from Hutto obviously make the drive. We always have such great representation on the road. Our people really do a great job of showing up, and certainly hope they'll get up early Saturday morning and make that drive down to Waco. But if they can't, this year we're streaming, and this year actually Saturday game. UIL has rules that you can't stream on Fridays, but Saturdays you can, so folks can watch the game on Saturday. What do you think about UIL, the whole not Friday night games, not streaming on
Way
Friday
good
nights?
with it.
Yeah?
Part of it is the fan experience.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but they allow every other sport to show.
That's
And
why
they
Texas
allow it
high
on
school football will always be king right
but
there.
they allow it on every other game or every other day besides Fridays. So it's just kind of weird. I don't know why
it's
they
the experience, the game experience, it's event.
Well, I agree with
community.
you, 100%. I mean, there's nothing like being there. Just like college football, there's nothing
You're
like
right.
being there, right?
You're right.
But anyway, we will be back next Monday night to talk about that game. Hippos hopefully will be 1-0. We invite folks come out to the Hippo Cafe and don't just watch us, but come out and enjoy the experience. It's a great place to be, great food. Like I said, it smells so good. I'm so hungry. We've been sitting here for an hour smelling these hamburgers and French fries, and I'm about starving right now. I think I'm getting Katie a hamburger for her birthday tonight here at Hippo
Good
Cafe.
call.
Yeah. But, no, we want you to come out and support Scott and Stacy and Hippo Cafe. We appreciate them letting us have the show here. We'll do this every Monday night. And so invite your friends. Come on out. Students, again, you get a free drink if you come out. And everybody else, they're going to have specials throughout the year. So, again, Coach's Show, it's sponsored by Hippo Cafe, sponsored by Kangaroo Roof and Koala Cooling. Brad, good luck this year. Looking forward to it. It's going to be just a different experience this year. Ryan, looking forward to having you in the booth. Bryce will be down on the sidelines, and whenever the microphone reaches, whenever we can get a signal up to the booth, Bryce will be our sideline reporter. But Ryan and I told Katie the other night, I've gotten so used to Bryce being by my side in the booth doing games that it's going to take me a while to get used to my own son doing it. You know, we might kind of stumble over each other a little bit.
Up some other lines to go back and forth between each other.
We might, yeah. We'll have to figure out some stuff. So
no family feuds up in the box, please.
No,
Keep it clean.
no. It'll be fun. But good luck. We're excited about the season.
Yes, sir.
And folks, join us in Waco on Saturday morning. Go Hippos! Thanks for listening to and being here for the Coach's Show.